I I'm a fan of the cocaine Voltron, and none of you will understand what that means
I hope not.
until you listen to the
Yeah.
show.
If you understand what that means before you listen to the show, please stop listening to this show and find yourself help.
Coming up on Linux Gamecast Weekly, Notch nopes the hell out, Valve takes up alchemy, Intel brings the updates and something about dragons. Then we throw the chairs at a scapegoat too. All this, plus your 8 mail. Let's go. And welcome back to another Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week is no exception. Carmack gets a new job, Notch nopes the fuck out, and our horse takes up alchemy. Then we learn that bar sometimes means yes. I'm Ben Stone in Athens, switching the boards, joined every week by this fabulous beast right here, kicking anorexia's ass for over a decade, Massa Sving. How's it going?
Bah means no, Ven. Bah always means no.
No.
Except when it means yes.
Also, yes.
Yes.
And that voice right there is the P-Man, the giggling death, Portuguese rage.
Oh.
And oh wow, look at all that nightmare fuel. And we're joined every week by you, Shatrealm, on the live stream, and together we form Cocaine Voltron, because Cocaine Voltron is best Voltron. LGC cares, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get started, we always like to catch up and see what's been going on in our wonderful world of mayhem.
I was going
J-Man,
to say sports, but whatever.
go ahead, sport it up, baby.
Sport, I had to... Well, speaking of cocaine, Voltron, I got a little cocaine and did some cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this you can't see it, but the floor is like free of all the crap that used to be there, and now I keep slipping because I no longer have grip.
P-Man.
And I finally completed Fallout 3 with mods and all the DLC under Linux without using any proprietary drivers or really anything else for that matter. I swear I felt Stallman reaching out and inappropriately touching me at that
Listen,
point.
listen, you're not using a full GPL licensed Fallout implementation, and therefore you are the Satan.
I also believe that CPU is not open source. Nothing really
Unfortunately.
interesting to report over here. Figured out that Turbojetta doesn't have fuckmothering cruise control. That's interesting, because it has every other option like heated leather seats, moonroof, premium sound system, a $2,000 optional sports package. We're talking like really expensive, unneeded extra shit. But the first owner...
I was going to ask, how did you find that out?
The first owner said, "No, got to draw the line at that cruise control. Can't really go for that one. No, it's gonna hurt the wallet."
I was gonna say, how the fuck do you figure that one out? Driving, turn on cruise control, take your foot off the gas, and then
I was Homer Simpson. Oh, cruise control. This will take care of it. Hit the button, crulled in the back seat. You know,
took a nap.
No, just taking a long drive, and I was actually on the highway, and there's a cruise control. You know, completely squirreling out because there was no one. It was early in the morning. I was like, all right, that's a thing. All right. End of story, and make with the whoring.
Sure. You can check us out at LinuxGameCast.com. There's that lovely little forums button you can click on to join Shatterum Stack linked. You can sign up with your Google account, with your Twitter account, even your Facebook account. Whatever goddamn account you have, you can use. And it's where we are the other 6 days of the week. But for more Linux gaming douchebaggery, you can check out our YouTube channel. You can rate, comment, and subscribe our videos, because we have to say that if we're on the YouTubes. So
Yep.
check that shit out. We got players, how-tos, B-reels, and this train wreck. And of course, if you love illegal immigrant workers, and really, who doesn't, you can check out our Facebook page. Soon available on the Oculus Rift. And of
Yep.
course, last but not least, our second favorite Kiwi, smacked up the side of the head with the ugly stick, reddit.com/r/Linux_gaming. But you know what? You might be thinking, these guys are fucking independently wealthy. Look at Pedro. He has a literal Scrooge McDuck vault full of gold that he likes to bathe in, as opposed to using water, which explains the smell. But you can head on over to our podcast page. We got some donato buttons. You can give us a recurring donation, become one of the illustrious producers, gets your name in our credits, and you can show the world that you make poor financial decisions. But if you don't feel like giving us money every month, you can definitely give us a one-time donation and get put up on our little wall of shame up there.
In the credits.
But also in the credits. That's a new one. But of course, you may want... I can't think of anything related to crocodiles as a joke. So, Ven, why don't you tell them about our sponsor?
Well, first thing you see our sponsor here is HostGator, and the mascot's called Snappy, and I have to tell people
das
that
kleine Krokodil?
you think alligators are ornery because of their mandula oblongata, when it's really, they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. But Snappy has a toothbrush, a fuck-mothering savings, cause you see that 20% off right there? Do you know what I say to that 20%, J-Man?
Fuck it.
Fuck it right in the ear. Because if you use our offer code, get ready for the Seizure-matic, LGC Week FTW, you're not going to get 20% off. You're going to get 25% off. And that applies to all bulk, but does not apply to domain names. Since you already have a name, you don't need to worry about that. But if you're looking for some cheap hosting, some good hosting, tech support with people that will pick up the phone when you're piss drunk, 3 o'clock in the morning, and tell you that you really are valued as a human being, long as you keep paying your bill, HostGator is the place for you. And remember that offer code, LGC Week FTW. So what's coming up next, J-Man?
Well, we got to educate the chillins about how not to goat and how to goat.
Ooh.
And why Baha means yes.
Oh, why are we
Sometimes.
talking about goats? I've never heard of them.
Because there's this little fucking game out there called Goat Simulator, and you're tinkering around with that, weren't you? Got it running under the wine.
Earlier, a lot of people are like, oh, it's an April Fool's joke. Psst, wrong, it's not. I was playing it last night after cocking about with wine just to see if it could work. And after 2 hours of like, all right, we finally got it working. It's choppy as balls, but you know what? The developers sent us some keys, early access keys for it, and we've been futzing with it. And I was like, all right, maybe over time, once this gets released, it'll smooth out. And no fucking later than I get this posted. Iculus is like, sup, bitches. And he drops the Linux repo in our face organ on Steam. Right now, it is a ZByte download, but he works in mysterious ways, so that'll come out when it comes out. But the one thing I was thinking about, P-Man, I want to run this across your face organ. This game relies its charm, nay, the brilliance of this game, relies on the game-breaking mechanics and bugs. How do you think Ryan C is going to deal with that?
Oh, it's gonna kill him. It's gonna kill him because Ryan's been doing a very good job actually fixing games when he ports them over to Linux, and this is going to kill him unless it was purposefully introduced.
Is it going to kill him, Pedro?
Yeah, it will. Repeatedly, like I said.
Jim, man, like next week we're going to be reading a former game developer who was recently found dead in his apartment.
in a goat costume hung from the ceiling fan.
That's when Bob means goodbye. So.
But you know what? I think with all this talk of goats, the horse is getting a bit jealous.
Well,
he looks a bit flushed.
He does, man. The horse this week has been playing around with alchemy, and you never know what he might transmute into, because what time is it?
It's a Steam
Linux
Update
of the week. Steam Universe, Steam U. Wow, what's this?
Yeah. So there's an update for the SteamOS. They call this their alchemy release. Mm-hmm. And it includes a bunch of fixes. They have some changes in there for the Gigabyte Bricks, which is an upcoming Steam Bucks.
Sounds kinky.
They're bringing down some upstream changes from Debian, updating the AMD drivers to the latest version. And they're actually providing an ISO image now, so people don't have to install it off of a USB and do all that cocking around.
But Jordan, what does this mean for an Arch user like myself?
Absolutely nothing.
Great. P-Man, thoughts?
Yep. No, they're basically making it a more sensible OS for their target audience, and I'm all right with that.
So that's over at Steam Community.
Pedro.
What? Escape. Run Goat Run Escape Goat 2 is out. It came out earlier this week. It is a puzzle platformer game where you use machinery, the environment, and a friendly mouse, unfortunately not a gerbil, to progress through a dungeon.
Not Lemmy Winks.
Yep.
We
And,
seem to have a goat theme this episode.
yeah, very much.
You know what, man? Whatever floats your goat.
I was kind of ignoring this game when I first looked at the screenshots. Then I read about the game, and it says Escape Goat 2. It's a puzzle platformer game. And, where's the little blurb for it? I'm going to have to dig way down here in our show notes. The only indie game in 2014 not inspired by Dark Souls, with no roguelike elements or procedural content. And something told me that these people might think like us lot. Currently 10% off, so you can pick it up for $8.99 wet stinky cashes.
Still
And
pretty cheap.
yeah, I'm thinking we're going to throw some chairs at this one later on. How about that?
Sounds reasonable.
Fair enough. So, Breach and Clear. I only have one thing to say about this, and that's to steal what Pedro said, because I couldn't remember the name of the fuck-mothering game. Frozen Synapse with Textures.
From the makers of Saturday Morning Wood. I mean, RPG.
Pedro, I'm just going to let you have this one, because this is, I think, probably the second, or nay, third game that we have seen that is Frozen Synapse with Textures.
Yeah. This is the third one, and it's exactly it. You know how in Frozen Synapse you have to think tactically and find a way to your guys or your guy or your guys to go to a certain place unnoticed. This is the exact same thing, only instead of that stupid blue background, you actually have some textures now. It's got a bit of a swatty feel to it, but yeah, you get that isometric view, and honestly...
And you know what? You can master the overblown police budget and military hardware donations to suppress the rights of ordinary citizens.
So,
Hi, NSA.
$14.99. I'm thinking I'm just going to no on that. Nope.
Yeah, that
Tell
kinda
me
looks
what,
like a
how
bit of
about we fight a dragon?
Dragon,
sound
rock the
reasonable?
Dragon Ball, not
Previously
Dragon
on
Ball Z.
previously on Fight the Dragon. Pedro.
This is Fight the Dragon. It's a hack and slash Unity based RPG. Well, I call it RPG, but it's not really an RPG. It's just a pure hack and slash. Its selling point, it's perhaps the user generated levels. They make sure that they do have some levels that they themselves made, but most of the levels you'll be fighting through are user-generated. So every now and again, you'll run into a particular level, which is just a bunch of creatures around the spawn point designed to kill you, and then a bunch of chests at the end. It's like a farm.
And up next for our D&D fans, I think we have something made of paper, and that's Paper Dungeons. Paper Dungeons is a fantasy board game mixing tactics and... Oh, God, I don't
Blah,
care.
blah, blah. Yeah, you know what? Fuck you, man. As like the resident D&D nerd here, this actually tickles me. It brings me back to the lands of graph paper and no women at all. But it's you know what? It's a neat little roguelike.
So you're saying last week?
Oh, that was like 2 weeks ago. Shut the fuck up. It's a neat little roguelike, where basically the whole idea is like you're in a D&D game. It has like our pen and paper RPG mechanics. You have like dice pools that determine what your character can do. It's an interesting little system. But what really, really, really interested me was apparently once this fucker leaves early access, it gets a multiplayer mode where
$14.99?
$14.99. I picked it up. I don't recommend you do that until this thing actually gets out of the horse's womb, as it were. But like I said, or like I was saying, when this thing finally gets out of early access, it's promising a multiplayer mode where you can have one guy as the dungeon master, so someone sadistic, i.e. Ven, can throw hordes and hordes and hordes of impossible monsters, and then we have to
So
fight
basically you're saying I can fuck with you, right?
Yes! And I think that's what makes you buy the game.
Okay, well, my interest, yes. But, P-Man, I remember you saying kind of the same thing I just thought by browsing over it. Holy, app.
Yep. Admittedly, the roguelike aspect and the D&D elements kind of tickled my interest, but the UI looks like it was made for a tablet. What the hell?
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of plays like it was meant for a tablet, but I can look past that because it really doesn't affect the overall gameplay all too much.
And I
So
just need to correct
there's that.
Pizza Hipster in chat. No, Rust was free because Gary gave us copies himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to get that out of the way. But from Paper
But
Dungeons,
you know what?
man,
I spat in your general direction. This looks like it's
tis
to
but a
be
spat,
Functional
or spade.
Alcoholic, the game.
Now this sounds
Yep.
like something. It's a real platform, but focus on the story atmosphere. It's much like Mario. Spade is the journey of one man's struggle and descent into madness that is fueled by his addiction to absinthe. Follow the tragic death of, or as I like to call it, Tuesday.
Yeah, no, you play a functional alcoholic, so I think Ben already has this game mastered and beat.
Yep.
What was this?
It's
One of my
in the bag.
Padawans? Did I train this man?
It's like going through this is like, oh, what the fuck is this? This is nothing. That was like 3 hours ago, and I just waltzed through
Well, this
it.
is $9.99. Give me the $2 taco tour, P-Man. What's it about? Never heard of it.
It's a 2D puzzle platformer. It's got a heavy emphasis on the atmosphere, but it's no Limbo. And like you already said, he does have an addiction for absinthe. So they're probably going to play the hallucinations into the game somehow.
That might be neat.
Wormwood.
$9.99. Anybody planning on throwing some wet stinky cash in this thing's direction?
Not really. No, if they throw us some
Yeah,
keys, I might check
It's
it
another
out, but-
platformer. We already have enough platformers under Linux.
But,
You know what we need under Linux is more first-person shooters. We have like none of those.
Oh man, that
Yeah,
would be awesome.
none.
But how about some tower defense?
Oh, yeah, none of that either.
What is this, Creeper World? The Creepening?
Creeper World
The more
3.
Creep World 3
Arc
because they made two
Attack.
successful ones.
Creeper World 3, The Creepening.
Creepy Boogaloo.
Yeah, it's the creepening. So it's a tower defense game. It's got what appears to be some sort of a plot, but instead of killing the usual enemy units, you have to try and contain sort of a fluid type substance that's trying to absorb your assets.
Seriously, look at this thing. What are the requirements? Do you need like the extra 16K ROM pack for your
Yeah,
C64?
this looks like a fucking Commodore game.
Go ahead, Pedro.
I don't know if my
But-
system can run this.
Yeah, the whole game in itself, I was looking through the store page and I'm like, it sounds like someone read Yahtzee Crowshaw's Jam and decided to make a generic ass tower defense game out of it.
Mhm.
So what's this thing costing now? It's 10% off. It's $15 for a
Yeah,
does it come on a
no.
cassette?
I would buy it if it came on a cassette, actually. That's what we need, a
Feed
USB
the
adapter
hipster.
for
Feed
the...
the hipster.
That would be brilliant, but it looks like our alchemist horse has not managed to transmute poo into gold yet again, J-Man. So what's up next?
Coming up next, we got some Oculus Nope and our regular news section.
And now that the horse is back in its lab, tearing away at those alchemical compounds, we get some actual news. And apparently, like Ben mentioned earlier, John Carmack has a new boss, and it is Mark Zuckerberg.
Wait, they bought the...
Son of a bitch.
Wow. Wait. Well, actually, I did hear about this. They bought the Stevie Wonder simulator, didn't they?
They did.
Yep.
You know, it's the best thing you can wear on your face if you're riding a bicycle.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you are excited for the Oculus Rift, the improved VR headset that's been making the news lately,
Prepare to
Well-
be disappointed.
yep, Facebook owns the shit out of Oculus Rift now. And I don't know about you, but I'm not particularly happy about it.
Well, you know, $2 billion in cash and stock and like 400 million in wet, stinky cashes. And I think what got a lot of people just enraged, we were talking about this during the break, Like Jordan's like, we all heard about it at separate times, and you go to Reddit and you can actually just feel it coming. You just like, go into the kitchen, pop in some corn, you just grab it, sit down, put the shades on. It's like, let's watch this. But I think what pissed people off is because, this was like grassroots started, and, we've all been making sweet, sweet love to this homebrew project that'll work on fuck mothering anything. And we're like, we're loving this, and it's getting good. Oh, shit. We got John Carmack on our side, and all this, and Zuck
Valve
came along and
like
just
giving technology, all sorts of...
Right.
Yeah.
And we're like, it's going to get a like button on the side. It's going to like... nope. How about you? Speaking of Valve, they took one to the dark side.
They poached their VR guy.
Right.
Yep.
But I was reading some of the aftermath on Twitter about this, and someone brought up that this is basically how Caprica pretty much started. So, I mean, all of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. And all I really want to see come out of this is we need another Battlestar Galactica. This needs to spur the Blood and Chrome reboot.
Well, we're going to have to pull Notch's dick out of Pedro's mouth for a minute, and maybe
no, excuse me while I go back to tooting that particular flute, because this guy is
no.
awesome.
We have to knock it out of your mouth so you can contribute to the fucking conversation.
Exactly, because Notch... This is kind of brilliant. We're talking like less than once I heard the announcement, less than 30 minutes later.
It's like a day later.
No, it was like 30 minutes later. Notch posted it. He was like, Facebook creeps me the fuck out. We're canceling this slimmed down Minecraft version they were working on. And, Pedro just like threw glitter in the air and rolled around on the floor like it was a Wednesday or something.
Screaming, what's going on?
I know. Sup, bro? And I was looking at that, and to be fair, I was like, golf clap. I was like, all right, good on you, Notch. All right, P-Man. How much do you love Notch to his superpowers? And
I love Notch. I do. I love him for everything he created, and even everything he canceled, because that game 10 to the Sea that he was making, it was sounding friggin' awesome, and I kind of wanted to play it.
There was also some community project to start recreating that as well.
Yeah.
That he gave his blessing to.
He nuked that, and I was kind of upset at it. Now, Facebook buys Oculus, and he immediately says, yeah, that Minecraft version we were working on? Not going to happen. Yes.
There's nothing about their history that makes me trust them, quote unquote. So saith thy Notch.
Well, I mean, they don't actually do anything. They don't really have their product is their users.
So let's just bring this around full circle, because we're going a bit long in this segment. Do you think this is pretty much the death knell for any type of like non-Windows support? Do you think the ecosystem's going to get tightened up?
It's too early to tell, really.
So it's just like panic speculation.
But then again, Facebook and Microsoft are besties.
But then again, all of Facebook's infrastructure is Linux, and they open source a lot of the tech that they develop.
Yeah, but Pedro, what you mean is
everything else in the world
Microsoft was one of the largest earlier investors in Facebook.
Yes. Everything else in the world is Linux. Bethesda has Linux servers. Every other gaming company has Linux servers. Do they make Linux versions of their games?
We don't know what's going on, so check this out. This is from Ubuntu. Intel Linux driver install hits 1Z4. Does this really bring anything new? No, not really. A couple little nits and bits. Nothing that you didn't see in the last beta.
But I mean, if you're one of those people who has an Optimus laptop and you really don't like how Bumblebee is slow or how Primus sucks your battery dry, and you want to squeeze a bit of extra power out of your Intel GPU, this is a thing you can do if you're on the Ubuntus or the Fedoras.
It's pretty cool. I mean, they even said that users of Ubuntu 13.04 and Fedora 19 can still use the installer. Version bump and support for Fed 20 aside. There's little difference. And pretty much support remains the same. That's it. Bit short on that. Thought everyone might want to know if you do have the top of lap that is running with the
or if you're trying to have a Steam box with one of those Iris GPUs.
Like you said, if you're insane. So,
but
Code.
Google Summer of Code, open source for games.
Tell me about it, P-Man.
All the way. Yeah, so this is Google Summer of Code 2014. It's back, and even though the number of game-related projects have decreased a little bit, they are still very much around. And this comes from the free gamer blogspot.com. Check those guys out. They post some awesome content every now and again. But yeah, the games themselves, the game projects themselves are Super
Scum
Tux
VM
Kart,
and Battle
Scum
for West.
VM,
Yeah, you can really see it's
Battle
kind
for
of
Westnut, and
stretching.
World Forge.
Right.
Oh, the Inkscape. Whoa,
Inkscape. That's my favorite game. No, but the Crystal Space
and
Engine. Oh, wow.
Crystal Space Engine, yeah, they have been there every year.
The Crystal Space Engine has been in development since I was a teenager. Wow. Super Tux Kart, like you said, World Forge, West North. All right. That's great.
Well,
This is a good
too.
little project. If you want to help the chitlins learn with the coding. What are you saying, chitlin?
Chillins. Yeah, and you know what? It's always good to contribute back to the open source ecosystem. You can also kind of get paid too, because Google likes to throw wet stinky cash at open source
And make
And
it
then-
rain.
make it rain.
So, Jordan, I heard that you're going to become unemployable very, very soon.
More or less, FTL Advanced Edition has a release date. No, sweet monkey Jesus, put in my veins. We've covered this. We've covered this at length a couple episodes ago. But basically, they add a bunch of subsystems. They have a new plot written by Chris Avallone, and it's a completely free update. And they still don't fucking have an Android port reporting it to iOS. And I'm just like, no, bad. Give me an Android port so I can play this at work and then get fired.
So, FTL, never heard of it, but I have. How much? I know they're going to rape us for this upgrade, right?
No, it's completely free.
That's
If
madness.
you own the game, you already have it.
So basically, what you're saying is, if you're addicted to this, you're fucked. I mean, what?
Pretty much, yeah. You're probably not going to see me for like a couple weeks. So if I die, tell my wife she doesn't exist. Coming up next, we throw chairs at goats and mice, not hamsters. And you'll see what that's about coming up.
Then we stare at them.
Welcome back to Linux Goat Fucking Cast. I'm sorry, I mean Goat Fucking Gamecast. I mean, god damn it! Linux Game Goat. Oh god damn it! It's Scapegoat 2. We're reviewing that. It's by Magical Time Bean. It's written in actually it's ported using a very neat toolset written by a friend of the show, Flippity Jibbity Boobity Boo, FNA, which is a drop-in replacement for XNA. That's kind of neat. You can pick this sucker up for $8.99 wet stinky caches, or if you're in Mordor, $8.99 gold. And it's 20% off until Monday. So if this episode comes out on Sunday, you're good. If not, go fuck yourself. And what is it? The only game, according to them, the only indie game in 2014 not inspired by Dark Souls, with no roguelike elements or procedural content. Oof. So, of course, we have our crazy-ass 4-chair metric that we use to fuck goats. And to the chair explanation, 1 chair means that it's a piece of shit. 2 chairs means that it's meh. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. And 4 chairs means that I really need to get my dick out of this goat. And of course, we have our 4 categories: Odoo, mixed with the working, shiny and sans controls, and fun. All those are pretty self-explanatory. If you haven't been watching this show and you don't know what those are, go back, watch some other episodes, or just, I don't know, reconsider your life. So, Scapegoat 2. Then, does that make with the working?
We tested a Scapegoat 2, the goatening. Because remember, kids, ba means yes. On our based Ubuntu, minimum requirements are
Quizzle for shizzle.
my nizzle.
Rick Whistles.
1204 zizzle on the 770 tizzles. That's about as much of that as I'll be doing this evening. But no issues, no glitches, ran out of the box. Considering the way it was ported with the tool, I mean, that really speaks volumes about that drop-in replacement. So we're going to give it what it deserves on this. 4 chairs. J-Man.
Very cool. So on my Fadizzle, Twizzle, Pizzle, using Vizzle, 6 Sizzle, super clizzled.
That's confusing.
I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore. Works out of the box. You run it. Again, Flivit did an awesome job with FNA. And even the project just got announced like a few weeks ago, and it's being used to create a very high quality port. So 4 chairs on that. Good, that's more of a credit to Flivit than anything else. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
In calculator land.
Yeah, so on my calculator using the open source Mesa 10 Radeon drivers, it ran out of the box on my old, 10-year-old almost, desktop PC with an NVIDIA 5600 EN with the 304 NVIDIA drivers. It also ran out of the box, so 4 chairs.
So that's 4 chairs for Mix with the working. Now for Shizzle and Sizzle, Shiny and Sense, because I'm not doing that anymore.
Thank you.
Then, okay, now I'm going to do that constantly.
Makes with the working is done,
Mix
so
with-
it is time
Mix
for
with the Shiny and Sounds.
and
Ben,
sounds.
does
Let's
this
take a
tickle
look
your
at this
hypotheses?
business right here. Since we're all over the board, let's get some video fired up. Now, I'm going to say good on that. Come on, gameplay? No gameplay. Halfway through the video here. No.
You get some Tim Schafer there, and that's it.
Oh, hi, Tim Schafer. All we need is... Oh, hi, Ron Perlman.
Exciting as that was, I'm going to say good on them because they almost screwed the pooch on this one. Because I went back and looked at, I just figured this is Goat Simulator 2. So I was like, do you think maybe there was a Goat Simulator 1 other than? I was like, yeah, possibly. Check it out. It was Hipster Pixel. So they fixed that. And they fixed it in a good way. I mean, it looks decent. It's not going to blow your eye pussies out of your head organ, but it's a thing. I mean, it's well done. I mean, the goat animation, speed animation, stuff like that is, a little bit of glitter that burns in your eyes in a good way. I like to say the sound, it's got like, what the kids call hip background retro typey music that I just kind of tuned out, put on some Slayer as I'm off to do and just, through the goat in my ears. I like it. It's not perfect. It's not going to blow you away. Looks worlds better than their first attempt. So good on that. Can't give it a perfect score because it looks nice, but it doesn't make you like want to,
It's not a Metro. It's not a Portal.
give it the business. So
Nope.
good job, guys. 3 chairs.
Yeah, pretty much what Ven said. I like that the enemy art kind of resembles Rogue Legacy, and I like that, so bonus points for that. The music is catchy enough. I listened to it for a little bit, but then, like Ven, I switched on the... I've been listening to a lot of Horn lately, so that's what I've been playing. But yeah, the art style is very good. The animation is very smooth. No performance hiccups with that. And, I mean, you get to play Goat Jesus, so 3 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Pedro.
Yeah, pretty much all I can do is reiterate what you guys just said, and the cheap tunes, the chip tunes, whatever you want to call them, they were nice. I found myself at the start of the level just waiting there for a little bit and listening in. They sounded okay, alright. And the graphics, like Ven said, they are a huge improvement on the pixelated mess that was the Scapegoat 1. So, for me, 3 chairs because, again, it looks good, but it's not...
Oh, face.
Pedro, get your dick out of that goat. So that's 3 chairs for Shiny and Sounds. Coming up next, controls. Then, were you in control of your goat simulation?
Goat simulation is a very tricksy thing. I mean, first you got to know how to make the proper cuts in your welding boots in order to get the back legs stuck in there so they can't get... Wait, we're talking about the game. Right. Focus again.
It's simulation,
Focus.
Ven, not stimulation.
Sorry about that.
Why can't it be both, Pedro? Why can't it be both?
Using the X-Clone control of Mightiness, no issues with the controls. The controls work for what they are. None. Dashing work, movement work. They were set up semi-logically, but that's when things started to fall apart, because I was like, yeah, I want to change one thing, because I didn't like the way Dash was set up. I was like, I want it to be and not yah. Nope, fuck me on that. There's no way. But to their credit, they have said that's like our top priority to get that business sorted, because we didn't realize that not everyone wanted to use the same fuck mothering keys. So on controls, I would have given it a 4, but since we cannot do remapping, 3 cheers for that business. J-Man, you have an Electro Seizure controller handy?
Yeah. Turbo. There. There.
All okay, but no controller.
On Turbo Seizure Epilepsy controller here. The controls, you know what? I didn't have a problem with the out-of-the-box controls. I thought they were very good. As for the quality of the controls, very, very sharp, very, very snappy, very responsive. I have literally no issues with the controls. It controls as well as it possibly could. So I'm going to give that 4 cheers.
Yeah.
And seizures.
I think I'm just gonna lay it on Ven for what he said, because while it did work fine out of the box with the PS2 DualShock controller, it had the dash button set to the right trigger, and I'm not exactly the best choice for when it comes to using the right triggers. To using the right trigger and the right shoulder button. So if I had been able to reassign that to the left side of the controller, it would have gotten 4 chairs. So it gets a 3.
Well, A, that's what you get for trying to touch the golden fucking chair, but 3 regular chairs it is.
Hey,
regular chairs for
I wanted a nice chair.
Not shiny and sounds. What am I doing? Am I high? Who am I kidding? Yes. Final category. Fun. Ben, did you enjoy yourself?
Well, one thing I was worried about this game, harkening back to old school, with the puzzle bits, something I am really worried about with retro type things is they try to pull off fuck you Nintendo hard. And they normally fail because they just make it overly hard for no reason. And for some reason, in the back of my brain organ, fuck you Nintendo hard was a real thing, and it existed. I found out that this was not fuck you hard, but it was fuck you challenging. That's a different genre, and I like that one, because I had fun with it for once. You're futzing around first couple of levels, you're like, oh, this is easy, and sort this, because I approach puzzles like debugging, and if you've seen some of my spaghetti code, you know I'm really good at debugging. And...
You ever see that Edvard Munch painting The Scream? That's what you look like after looking at Ven's spaghetti code.
Basically. Then you bring in new things like, oh, right, we have our own gerbil, and the gerbil's running around, and I was like, well, where's the toilet tube of naughtiness? This makes no sense. And then it's a little more difficult. Then you get the hat of magic, and I was like, all right, shit just got fucked up complex, but it fucks with you just enough. Every little bit to go, crap, dead. All right, I can do this. And you go, dun, 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 and you get another point. Damn it, dead, go again. All right, again. Then you beat it. You get your, small amount of joy and happiness, and wham, right back into crushing depression, which is your real life. So, for fun, I'm going to have to give this 3 chairs. That's what it deserves. It's not perfect, just because I finally got to one of those levels, and I don't cheat. And if I can't figure it out, I consider walking, looking at a walkthrough guide, that's cheating. And it just got to a fucky point. It's like, that's more time than I'm going to apply to this game, but still a fun game. So those 3 chairs will stick, J-Man.
I gotta agree with Ben. And there's a difference between fuck you hard and legitimately challenging. With this game, you're not gonna get all the solutions right off the bat. You gotta play with the level a bit and see how everything interacts with everything else. And you have to experiment, and this game rewards experimenting. It doesn't penalize you for restarting the level over and over and over again, because it expects that you need to actually think the problem through and consider all possible options. And it really is an enjoyable puzzle platformer. I don't say that a lot about puzzle platformers, but I found myself really having fun with this one. Plus, it's always good to be Goat Jesus, and combined with the good art style, the very tight controls, this is an altogether enjoyable experience. So I would say definitely check this out. Give it a 3 chair.
All right, Stumpy.
Schnappy.
Schnapps.
Stumps.
So,
El-
good Escape Do. It's a very hard game to criticize. It's not because it's good, it's not because it's bad, it's the middle of the road. It's most definitely a game, and for what it is, it does it well. It just doesn't really have anything to set it apart from the masses. And it's, I suppose, at least from my point of view, it's not going to change anyone's minds when it comes to this particular genre. Puzzle platforming, that is. If you like the first Scapegoat, then get this one. It's more of the same with a slight graphical improvement and a couple of different mechanics to change things up a bit. If you didn't like the first game, then you can safely give this one a miss. So for me, 2 chairs.
Way to be a fucking buzzkill. So, that's 2 chairs for fun. And if we tally all this motherfucker up, then we get 3 chairs. And if we go back to our rating system, the chair explanation, you can see that is a definite check this fucker out. So, then, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Let's check it on the price on this business at $9.99. $9.99.
$9.99.
As much fun as I had with this, I'm going to have to say wait. I mean, if you're even remotely price sensitive. Now, if $9.99 sounds like a plan,
From outer space.
and you're not price sensitive, just go ahead and buy it. But if you're like, I don't really know if I want to spend 10 quid on that, don't. Wait for it to go on sale. You'll be infinitely happy, especially if you're like me and you're like, I don't mind puzzle game and all that, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. Half price sale on this, throw money at the screen. At 10 wet stinky cashes, you're still going to have a good time, but you might be left with a little bit of remorse. You don't go all orgasmic where you're puzzling and you're platforming like the kids do these days. So that's enough of that Cosby intervention. What do you think, J-Man?
I think we've kind of been spoiled with that, with Steam having like really, really, really cheap games. I think $10 is reasonable for a game of this quality. Like I said, it's very enjoyable. I don't usually like puzzle platformers. This one is pretty good. I liked it. I would highly recommend it. It'll probably go on sale. So if you're really, really, really gonna Jew it up, then yeah, wait for the sale. But for $10, I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. Pedro.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's not going to change anyone's mind. If you like puzzle platformers, go ahead, buy it. It's a pretty damn good one. If you don't, it's just more of what you don't like. And personally, I liked it. I thought that the graphics actually did it a number of favors when compared it to the first iteration of the game. But I don't know. I guess I'm one of those people. I'm not exactly Jewing up my money, but it's $5 would have been a more appropriate price. Just saying.
Well,
And
you
I'm
gotta
just saying,
Jew
since
what
you're
you
not
gotta
Jewish,
Jew.
see, Jordan can say things about Jews because he's a Jew. You just created that was a hate crime. Burn him. So closing up.
So that's our review of Escape Go 2. Coming up next, Unity devs go boo hoo hoo. Jamie has some kind of mod and something regarding the color green. Your hate mail live on air.
And now, with the goats back in the corral, we get into some hate mail. And just a little reminder, I know we do this all the time, but if you'd like to get in touch with us, just go on over to LinuxGameCast.com, push that contact button in the nav bar there, fill out your name, fill out your email, give us a subject, give us your message, prove you're smarter than a bot, and that's it. Although, if you are trying to promote your Kickstarter, Indiegogo, any sort of crowdfunding campaign, even Steam Greenlight, while it still doesn't die, just make sure to include a teeny tiny, what do I call it, Linux prototype. Because if you don't, we're not going to mention it. Sound fair?
We will
All right.
literally just make fun of you and make disparaging remarks about your mother. But
I'm going to jump on this one.
all right, you tell him about Levy. What does Levy have to say?
Seriously, we're not doing phrasing anymore? I'm going to jump on you. All right, fine.
Said Bishop to the replicant, to the android, or whatever. Continue.
So
I screwed that up.
Right. This comes from Levi. You might know him as Tack, part of the Unity team. And this is in response to something we were talking about last week. And this is a little friendly jab. Tack is actually a cool cat. And, you know, we kind of ripped on Unity last week. Fairly, but we have no issues and nothing but love for that team, though, for bringing some good games. Because, you know, we're like, Unreal's bringing the web in the engine. J-Man's going to expand on that in a moment. But during that little comment, you know, Tack kind of like, hey, guys, we like totally demoed WebGL export running on stock Firefox on Ubuntu at GDC. Guys, forget about that Unity 4 stuff, bruh. What you guys say about that, bruh?
Well, there is the whole thing that Unity is a nice little engine for creating your first couple of games, and Unreal is a big boy engine for creating actual marketable games that you could sell for maybe $50-$60 in the Windows, PlayStation, Xbone market. But I mean, these guys at Epic are actually working with the Mozilla team. And
did you used to work with them?
Yeah, I used to work with a couple of these guys way back when I was at the CDOTs, and these guys are pretty good. If Epic is working with that team, then I have very high hopes for the quality of the ports that run in fucking Firefox, that browser that is compiled on every single fucking operating system on the planet. So Unity, good effort, but put up or shut up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the quality is the key word here, because for some reason I bet that Unity running on their Firefox is even less optimized than Unreal will be.
I mean, the only issue I had with this entire thing, it was like, we finally got around to that after, a solid year of the entire Linux community petitioning. There's like, where's the popcorn, bro?
Oh, yeah, the web player.
Where's our web player? And we're finally getting around to prototyping this, while, Unreal 4, it's like, we're on this. I mean, this is going to be like, boom, out the door. So that business is that. But I heard Chat Real member Pizza Hipster had something to say.
Yeah, Pizza Hipster is talking about Jamie's mod. He says, "Hey, LGC, my friend Hellfire and his other friends have made a mod for Half-Life 1 called Jamie's Mod. It supports Linux, although if you run Linux, you have to use patch version 1.1. Here's the trailer. Here's the mod link. Here's the patch. Have it." Now, I didn't actually try this one out. Did anyone here actually give this a whirl?
Nope.
I did. It worked. It really did. Can't really complain about that. What I can complain about...
What the hell is that?
Precisely. That's exactly what I can and will complain about, because that's who I am. So basically, all this mod does is put new skins on a couple of NPCs of the original Half-Life campaign, and you replay the campaign with this goofy
with
blue and green and whatever the hell that is.
You can shoot no's.
Oh no! Well, I mean, like, Serious Sam had like the hippie blood mode, where if you like shoot people, they like bleed flowers and like peace signs and shit like that. Somehow I feel that would be a little more entertaining than this, but they did it. It works under Linux, so definitely check that out if you feel like wasting 5 minutes of your time.
That's mod database /mod/Jamie's-mod. That's a thing, but J-Man, something directed towards you, I think. No, P-Man, actually.
Yeah.
P-Man.
So
no one wants to talk to me then. What are you, crazy?
Unless they want to say something about your excessive amount of cussing. But this is Bradley Pariah.
Go fuck yourself.
Fuck that.
And he says, I personally don't think it matters that Steam is allowing all these garbage titles to be available for sale. I think it's every developer's right to try and sell their product, just as it's every customer's right to vote with their wallet. Those kinds of devs will go belly up, the ones that make terrible games. Having something for sale doesn't mean it sells. Should eBay prevent people from selling broken phones as is? Well, who wants to go first?
I will, because my points are the first on the show notes. So really, it has nothing. This really has to do with public's perception. I mean, Valve is trying to push Linux as a gaming platform, as they've branded it as SteamOS, which is fine. I have no objection to that. This is a conversation long over. Yes. Well, actually, my local comic book store guy looks very much like him, so I find that very funny. But here's the thing: if the vast majority of games available on Linux is shit, what are people gonna think about that? They're gonna think, well, why should we take this seriously as a gaming platform when it's fucking baby's first Unity game, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And going back to what we keep saying, we could really fix this just by implementing some basic QA standards. Make sure this shit works out of the box on the latest video drivers for NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD under fucking SteamOS. Boom. That's it.
And that goes the dynamite, especially on that business, because, what you're saying is right. I mean, they've had the chance to deal with Windows. They had a chance with Mac. And Linux, they looked at Linux and this is going to be our baby. We're building an entire operating system and customizing it, and we're going to make it our own thing, but we're still going to let all this shit in. You don't want to sort through the shit. I mean, you want the top quality product, and when you got a billion apps disguised as games, clocking in at $14.99, no.
Yep.
Any additional thoughts, P-Man?
Yeah, the big problem with this is, much like back in 1983 when the big video game crash actually happened, and that particular crash happened
because
because
back when cowboys had sex with engines?
after dodging raining arrows?
Yeah, that particular crash happened because there was an overabundance of shit games. And people didn't know any better, so they went to a store. Oh, this game looks interesting. They took it home. And
Esther's
by the
Revenge,
time
it's
that
good for
they
the
actually
kids.
had, played the game, most of them regretted their decision. And
I'm going to cut
you
you off
repeat
just for
that
a
a couple of
second,
times.
because Nintendo saw that and brought the gaming industry back by creating the Nintendo
The seal of quality.
approval. Right.
Yeah. So you repeat that a couple of times, someone buying a game, not liking it, having to return it, or sometimes not being able to return it, Steam. And you eventually start burning your customers. And personally, at this point, if I had to pay for 90% of the games in my current Steam for Linux library, I would have been pissed at Valve right now. Fortunately, I can just send an email to the devs saying we'll talk about the game on the show, and they'll give us some keys sometimes, but sometimes I still have to pay for them. And if there
Overgrowth.
Yeah, Legends of Aetherius, etc. So if it weren't for people like Total Biscuit and Jim Sterling and a couple of other people that are actually in the games media industry telling us when the games are shit, it would be very hard for me to trust Valve at this point.
Well, fortunately, you have the nightmare train. That is myself. Wait, hang on. Cue the music, because I want to tell you where you can find me, myself, and Irene. I'm Vin Stone at Vin Stone. On the Twitter nets, plus Vin Stone on the G pluses. Hit me up there. Say disparaging remarks about my mother and my heterosexual life partner. Shall explain.
Yeah, you can find me at The Burning Fool on Twitter, plus Jordan Swung on Google, plus I am Jordan Swung. And Ben's mom is actually pretty fucking awesome.
Fair enough. I am Pedro Mateos. You can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter, or spitting all over my keyboard at plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
So at the end of the day, beautiful party people, zombie, demon hordes of the internet, thank you for watching this ginormous train wreck and putting up
Of
with
goats.
our goat shenanigans. And on that, Matt,
Goats?
let's just throw the goat at everyone.
Let that goat float, bitch.
Hail Santa.
Yes,
Blood orgy.